This is Vernier for cardowners.com, and welcome to episode number 4 of Crushing the Micros. And today, initially I planned for episode 4 to look at the different hand ranges from under the gun through middle position. Through the button. But I decided the time was right for a progress report with my two students. So I'm going to be looking at their poker tracker stats, graphs, and hands for about 35 minutes each for both Reese and Andrew, and customizing their poker tracker to be able to kind of look deeper in their game. So um, we're going to do that. We're going to look at just their overall statistics. I'm going to point out some places that I think they might be leaking money and look for some irregularities. And after that, we're going to look at some big losers for each of the guys and talk about whether they could have played the hand differently or things like that. So, all right, so that's it. Let's get right to it. So here we are. We're looking at Reese's graphs. He's about 3,000 hands into the series, and one of the things we can notice is he his red line is just continuously going down, and I think that's going to be the case for most tight aggressive and solid regulars at these stakes. So we're definitely going to address this issue as the series goes along. But right now, um, 3 episodes in, it's going to be very hard to do this. A lot of what we're going to be talking about with regards to the red line is going to be post-flop play. And yeah, I mean that's just going to be a few episodes down the line. Right now, our focus is going to be on some pre-flop navigation. But overall, can you go back to the general tab?
I can.
So over 3,000 hands, which is kind of a short sample size, we're up 4.5 buy-ins and running at about 7.5 BB per 100. Which, if we can keep up this win rate, we're going to be very happy. If if we're able to fix some of these post-flop leaks that we seem to have, then it's going to be even better. But these numbers, these poker tracker numbers, seem super reasonable. We're running at 17, 14, which is a little tight, but I actually don't mind that. I actually think I think those numbers are very good.
I think I said to you before, I think that those numbers are probably a little skewed due to the first couple of weeks in comparison to the last couple of days, where I think a few things have been clicking into place for both Andrew and I, and so we've been able to loosen up a little.
Okay, yeah, but I mean these are going to be, you can certainly be winning, and you certainly seem to be winning
Yep.
with these numbers. I think this is a very good foundation to work off, and then you can start bridging out of that. But I think once you have that foundation, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Your 3-bet is 5%. Your fold to 3-bet is about 80%, which is something you mentioned to me. Well, let's move this bar to the right, and then you can mention the two things since we started talking that have dropped or have changed probably most significantly.
Yeah, certainly. I think probably the first time we went through these stats, my fold to 3-bet was down at about 65, maybe a little bit lower, maybe somewhere about 63, and my continuation bet flop was at about 75%. So I've started folding the 3-bets a lot more,
Yeah.
and I've started continuation betting, I think, better, with better chance of taking the pot down there and in better situations, basically.
And you also mentioned that you've been delay continuation betting some.
Yes, yeah. I've figured out when's a better time to put a delay continuation bet in rather than just straight away continuation betting.
All right, awesome. Let's look at your positional stats. Yeah, I mean these seem very good. Let's let's see. Let's go to the right here, and let's actually modify some of these too. So click on the configure this report, and let's get rid of this winning percentage. Click twice on that, and then actually bring this window down. Let me just check on something. If you can move it down just so I can look at all these stats over here. All right, let's get rid of the BB per hand. I don't think you really need that. I don't think it's very useful. And let's also get rid of this without blind. I don't think that's going to be very useful either. Now let's add some. Let's add the 3-bet preflop, and then fold to preflop 3-bet. There we go. And then let's add C-bet flop and C-bet turn. And then fold to flop C-bet. And then fold to turn C-bet too. Let's add those. Actually, we're going to add just one more, and that's fold to. It's a funny category. Can you go down? I think it's going to be like fold to. No. All right, maybe go up. Yeah, that's it. Fold steal to blind re-raise. The one at the very top. All right, let's add all those. Apply it and look at those for you. And I think when you do that, let's click on this window. I think that's going to be the expand, and it should give us a better view. All right. So your 3-betting pre-flop. It seems like you've never 3-bet pre-flop from middle position under the gun +1. That could just be variance. I mean, 485 hands is really not that many hands, and you really probably shouldn't be 3-betting a lot the under the gun people. So I think that's fine. And seems like, well, I mean, a lot of it is just variance, but we can certainly talk about opening up your 3-betting on the button, which is something that you can do more. C-bet flop. I wonder what's up with that. You've got a 70% C-bet flop on the button and a 0% C-bet turn. So that's interesting. Yeah, I wonder what's going on with that. All these others seem very, very reasonable, but I mean, this is something that's strikes me as a bit odd. You know, that's maybe something that we can look at a little bit later. And fold steal to blind re-raise. These are the only thing that strikes me here is I think on the button. I mean, it's easy for me to say, like, you're probably not 3-betting enough, but that might not be it. I would have to look at specific situations. But your button play is strikes me as the one thing that's kind of like the most, I guess, the most different from everything else. So
yeah.
But everything seems reasonable. So let's close this out. And let's actually look at your hands. And click on amount 1 and see how we're doing. So sixes, I guess you're hitting a lot of sets.
I guess so. I think I've hit a couple of boats with it as well.
Wow. All right, nice. And let's look at your biggest losers. So I noticed that ace king offsuit. Here I'm guessing, did you have trips or straight?
I have no. No, I got 2 pair and got sucked out on by another 2 pair on the river.
All
A
right, can
guy
I
with
see it?
well, it might have been the other way. Might have got a 2 pair on the river. Actually, I'm playing this. Do we have to?
Well, we don't have to, but I mean, did you just make a bad play there?
Yeah. Basically, this was now that I remember it, this guy was playing about 40-30.
Okay.
Well, I'll show you how it played out.
Yeah, let's talk about, so we know he's playing 40-30.
So
He min raises and you
he
flat
min
call.
raised, yeah, and I flat call.
I
Just
would
because
I would consider, like, if he's gonna be min raising you, I would much rather like re-raise him than flat
yeah,
call.
I agree now. Yeah, this was probably nearly 2 weeks full ago now. So this was right at the beginning. So I was still making some of the stupid mistakes.
Okay, but
whereas
okay.
now definitely with this hand, I'd either 3-bet him or fold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I hit second pair, and this guy's got a 100% continuation bet,
Right.
and an aggression factor of about 7.
Okay.
So he bets out, and I raise him.
So yeah, so the next thing that I would say is, since you actually have hit a hand, then I would definitely just call here.
Okay.
Because because if he's continuation betting so high, we're almost sure we've got the best hand, and
Yep.
we don't want him to actually fold. Like, we want him to continue leading at us. So
Yeah.
we want to go for pot control first and foremost, and B, I think the most value that we'll have is by calling.
Yep. Okay.
Because he's going to have air so much here. Okay, but let's just go through the hand. All right, so he calls. Now, yeah, see, now it's almost like you have a pretty good hand, and now you're turning it into a bluff. So I would have checked behind here.
Okay. And I think this is starting to become tilty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. More because I think I'm pretty sure that I'd probably been playing here for about 20 hands, and this guy had just been doing the same move over and over again. And anyway,
Right.
possibly the worst ever card on the river for me.
Right. That is the worst ever card. Yeah. Now you can't really fold now.
Yeah.
All right. So that's hand. And you promised to me this is early on, right?
Yeah. This is this is definitely probably. I think it just might have scraped into that 2-week category, to be honest.
All right. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
But you definitely see just the myriad of mistakes here, right? Both pre-flop, on the flop, and the turn.
And the turn. Yeah.
You played the river well.
And then. Yeah. And I think at the time the river was the only street I was considering folding.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know why, but at the time, like I said, it was just, I think, half tilt and a lot of, could have got myself out of a bad situation if I'd played it better.
Right.
And probably just folded, which I should have done.
Okay.
Yeah.
But all right, let's look at a few more hands. Let's look at this ace-3 suited hand.
Yeah, this was flopping a big draw.
So what do you know
And
about this
I think
player?
this was, I think this might have even been the same day. This was
Oh,
in,
okay.
you know, that in that graph.
Yeah, there's that stretch where you
This
just your hands go
this
down, down, down.
this would probably been around here, or maybe, yeah, I think it must have been here.
Okay.
So
All right, let's look at a hand and talk about it.
yeah. So
So
I think
yeah, so that's I would say that's bad right off the bat.
yeah, this is something Andrew and I have been talking about the last couple of days. I think this is where I was calling because I figured this guy would call as well, and then had a multi-way pot. But
Yeah,
now I'm starting to see the error in that right.
um, the problem is that you're going to be out of position. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
big problem.
yep.
And a hand like ace three suited, like I think if you have a pocket pair here, pocket pairs don't need position as much as hands that are going to be drawing. So I would say um, hands like 6-7 suited and ace three suited, they're just going to need position much more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would probably be folding it here, unless um, unless the small blind called, and then I know that this guy's going to be doing. Then I'm going to be four-way, but three-way out of position, I'm just not liking my hand.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was a bit of a leak in my game that I've sort of sorted out now after just talking about stuff with Andrew and where I'm sort of gonna, well, how many situations I'm going to get myself into bad spots here, and when even when I hit, I'm not. It's going to be hard for me to extract any extra value out of it.
Yeah, totally. All right, let's
Yeah.
go on. Let's look at your post flop. Wow, that's a good flop.
Yeah. Yeah. Really good flop for me. So I checked with the intention of check raising here.
Okay.
And then this happens, and I figured overcards. The way this guy was playing at the time, I figured he could have really been doing that with anything.
I would
Just
probably flat call here.
Yeah. Okay.
Because our hand is like looks deceivingly nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I played it again. This is something I'd only sort of really got the understanding or basic understanding of the theory behind check raising with these sort of draws as well. So that was my plan, and that's where I went with it.
Okay.
And so I've just shoved all in. Like I said, picking overcards maybe, and pretty much nothing.
Right.
Which was wrong.
Right. And he had the nuts.
So I picked this guy, yeah, and the other guy, of course, had the nuts.
Wow, and you have like a million outs on the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I figured I had a million outs on the turn.
Right.
But
What did he have?
Yeah, he had 4-5, right?
Get a shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Thing is, how often does he turn up with 4-5 there? I mean, Paul, do you not think raising there is a good idea?
I think
Like given things like fold equity and I mean I don't think you always get called there. And so I think half the strength of your massive hand and your massive draw is the fact that you can make people fold when you do raise.
yeah, I'm thinking about this play. My first thought was to actually lead this flop. And when I think about it, I would probably lead shove. So, yeah, I guess we're not really worried that much about slow-mo. What do we know about slow-mo?
Slow-mo was playing reasonably tight. And
Yeah. So I mean, if we lead and this guy either raises or see, that's the problem with playing out of position, is that with hands like this, we really don't have the option for going for pot control. So we just have to we have to hit the flop hard, and we got to play it fast. So I guess because you're out of position, yeah, there's just not much more you can do on this flop other than to get it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what makes playing out of position so tough.
So you're saying I played it okay after on the flop?
Yeah, I think
Post
so.
flop.
I mean, I guess I'm trying to think. I actually think I would have led the flop, and I'm trying to think about how I'd play. Like if we had pocket threes, the result would have been the exact same thing. We would have gotten stacked by the nuts. But if we have pocket threes there, then I actually kind of like a flop lead. I would lead shove. So I guess that's how we should play this ace three suited as well.
Okay.
We should.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of it like if you'd ISO raised on the button with ace
Right.
three suited, and then flop this hit this flop exactly the same,
Right.
I mean, and someone donk led, or let's say you led and then someone check raised, I'd be shoving.
Yeah.
I mean, all
Yeah,
the
we'd
time.
be shoving here.
I mean, I know it's not a great spot, but despite the play pre-flop, I think post-flop, I mean, I think the hand kind of has to play itself.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I agree.
Because your shove looks really strong. I think
Yeah,
you get
absolutely,
folds
absolutely.
about everything else except for, a set or 4-5 there. It's going to be really hard to continue.
Right. I mean,
With
he's probably not going to fold
overpair.
something goofy like two pair either, but
But our equity is, I mean,
yeah,
in the
our
hand
equity's
is
good.
massive.
Yeah, consider leading that next time though. But I think check raising is fine too.
Okay.
The reason I would lead is I would just want to take control of the hand, and if I had pocket threes, I would probably lead this as well, because I don't think overpairs are going to fold. And yeah, and just our equity against overpairs is just so massive, unless it's aces.
Do you think it makes a difference though if you're the one making the committing raise? Like I think that's like a big, a big point to make. Something to stress is that if you're the one making the committing raise, then you're maximizing your fold equity.
Yes, absolutely.
Whereas if someone else shoves, then you only have a drawing hand, and then it's kind of harder to call.
Yeah, then you have to play your hand for face value. Yeah, but I mean, I agree with you there.
It's an interesting hand.
All right, let's look at. So that one was played obviously much better, but still pre-flop.
Minor mistake rather than a big mistake like the other one there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Back to hands. Seems to be getting smashed around a bit with ace king or ace king suited and off.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let's look at some of these ace king hands.
Oh, this was.
I mean, I'm guessing he had two pair, right?
Yeah.
Did he rip? Oh, he flopped two pair.
No, he flopped two pair, but you watch this. I was about to headbutt the screen.
All right. Two limpers.
I couldn't
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Pretty good flop for us.
Yeah. So when he called this, I thought, okay, well, I'm check. Yeah, I thought I'd check shove any non-club turn here.
Right.
So he's bet 3, which is just what I wanted him to do, and then I shoved.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't really blame you for that hand.
I couldn't believe that he called me there with A7 off. Just ridiculous.
I don't understand the check on the turn though, because the club draw is still out there.
I think because this, and again, this is one of those guys that's playing. I think he was playing about 30-20, and
Oh, okay.
with a super high aggression factor. So I
Right.
figured that he's one of these guys that if you show any weakness to, they're going to
Yeah.
bet with anything.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I checked the turn just to get some more money in the pot with the intention of shoving any non-club.
Right.
That makes sense.
Now it's kind of my thinking. Once when you did that, I think you played it fine, especially against this kind of a player. I mean, if it's a loose passive player, then we've got we have to worry about pocket sevens and pocket twos and things like that. But against somebody who's playing 30-20, we're just going to be going broke there. All right, let's look at the next ace king hand. Yeah, I think ace king plays pretty well in re-raised pots, but in like single raised pots, it's just a lot more tricky.
Yeah.
All right, you're
This one-
three-handed.
Well, actually, I was about to get up and leave the table because we'd just lost 2 people.
Right.
We went to 5, and then within a couple of seconds, we'd lost 2 people. So I was just playing around until the blinds.
But we're certainly going to play ace king on the button.
Exactly. So
Oh wow. Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's fine. Huh.
so that was the delayed C bet.
I would not delay c-bet this.
Yeah.
I think three bet pots need to be treated like a completely different animal.
Yeah. And basically, I think I ended up just calling him down just to see what he had.
Right, and that's the problem. Yeah, I would not have bet the turn.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, once he calls your 4-bet out of position, I would put him on like 8s and up.
Yep.
And yeah, the 5 doesn't change anything. Sometimes I might put him on ace queen, so I would just look to show this down.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that's like, yeah, that was misplayed too.
Paul.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you quickly, like, I've gotten in some sticky situations just recently, 4-betting, like with ace king and jacks, let's say, like blind versus, big blind, button versus big blind, for instance.
Do you have some of
I've
those
had,
hand histories? Could we look at them in a minute?
yeah, I do.
Or
Okay.
we can just talk about some general theory too. But let's look at maybe one more hand, and then let's look at this. Let's look at this king 10 suited hand here.
It hasn't really
Oh, okay.
lost any big pots.
Yeah, nothing really.
I just haven't won any hands at all with it.
Right.
But again, this could be one of those hands that I'm getting pushed off a lot, I think. Same with king jack suited.
Well, let's look at these king 10 suited hands. Let's just look at the first 3, just to kind of see some. I think I've seen this guy somewhere. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah,
We've actually seen this hand, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have.
Yeah.
Right. This is
Yesterday.
interesting.
And
And you're saying this guy is playing kind of crazy,
yeah. I can't remember what he was playing.
right? So you definitely have to call here in position.
Yeah, it was 30-15 or something like that he was playing, but I know his stats don't sound that much, but the way he'd been playing was just crazy.
Right. Yeah, and a player like that, you just gotta think about what they're doing.
Yeah, and it was a tiny 3-bet as well, so.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Gave us
Totally.
a call.
Totally. You,
So,
you have to call in position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we decided you play this fine. Yeah. Check behind.
But this guy as well, the way when we've been playing him, he's called me on every street pretty much. So I just figured I've got a chance at a jack, why not just or a king.
Yeah, I don't mind showing this down. And I would certainly call him here. And it's crazy. He flopped a open-ended, straight draw, and flush draw.
Yeah.
And he lost the minimum. Yeah, so I don't mind at all the way you play this hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. You wanted to go over some more ace king?
Let's look at the ace king suited hand. Or okay, yeah, we can look at this one too. Yeah, let's look at this one, and then we'll look at some of Andrew's stuff, and then.
Cool.
So I've bet out here.
Yeah.
I hate that board.
Yeah,
I hate it too, but I think we have to bet it.
That's why I think we have to bet, because it's so connected. We've still got top pair and a good kicker, and he could be drawing to so many things.
Right. A lot of it depends on the player. Like, against some players, yeah, a lot of it just depends on the player.
Yeah. I think this is
okay. So
I think I should have bet again.
Betting here, and the reason for that, we talked about this idea of like passive turn play.
Yeah.
The 7 is a great card for us because none of the draws get there. So I mean, this is just a prime example of a situation where you should put forth a reverse blocking bet.
Yeah, I agree.
Something like $1.10. Yeah, I think that's like like leak number 3 in our list of leaks. You know, passive turn play. You're in position, force a showdown.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, and that's a very bad card.
Yeah.
9 of spades would have been worse.
Wait, are you betting this?
Yeah. Leak number 4.
That's pretty thin, mate.
Yeah. Betting here is very bad. I mean, you like wanted to get to a cheap showdown, right?
Yeah.
Take the showdown. The thing about it is like, no, yeah, that's pretty awful. He'll call you with everything that beats you, but you're ahead of pretty much anything that doesn't. Like, you're turning a main hand into a bluff here. So I think you have to bet the turn, fold to a turn raise, and I mean, are you trying to represent something here? Like, are you? I'm not even sure what you're trying to do here.
I don't think either of us are, Paul.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Definitely a leak. Definitely a leak.
Yeah. So I'm glad we looked at this hand because you should definitely bet the turn, and you should definitely just see what he has on the river.
Again, this one I can't even remember playing this one, so this one must have been a good couple of weeks.
Oh, I see.
Well, I'm going to keep using that excuse for every hand that I play really badly.
Right.
So, of course, I fault.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really important for me to for you to be able to tell me, like, what was your reasoning on the river? And in this case, I guess it's just not that. Yeah, you can't think of a reason, but I guess if you're going to be looking back at it, then you're going to be saying, well, I misplayed it, and that's the important.
Yeah, I do that a lot actually. To be honest, a lot of the hands that I lose, I look at the way I've played them afterwards and think about how bad it was. But during the time, I think I probably don't put enough thought in. Well, I hadn't been. That's
Right.
another thing Drew and I have been talking about lately, that just playing with each other, even when we're not playing with each other now, we're playing thinking that someone else is watching,
Right.
which almost forces you into not making the stupid plays.
And it's really good. I mean, I'm glad that you guys are doing some sessions together because you just start verbalizing some things. So here
Yeah.
on the river, you would say, well, should I bet this? And then that would start this whole discussion of like, well, for one, um, the first question that should come up is, am I going to bet this as a bluff? And I would say, well, you certainly shouldn't because you actually have some showdown value.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're bluffing, what do you want him to fold out? Like, for all intents and purposes, we could have the best hand. So it's like, are you bluffing with the best hand? Well, that's a bad idea. Well, and then, all right, are we betting for value? Well, if we're betting for value, then what are we trying to get value out of? I can't think of a single hand, If he calls you with Queen 10 here, that's like, you can just laugh at that. But that just starts this whole discussion about why are you doing what you're doing, and I think after a discussion like that, that bet never happens.
Yeah.
Now, Andrew, I mean, would you have bet the turn there?
Yeah, I think I would have bet the turn. I would have. I I definitely would have bet the flop and turn. I think simply because it's so drawy and the pot's not that big yet.
Right.
But I'd have been. It depends what kind of stats I had on the guy, because I know there are some tricky sort of regulars that will just make moves on flops like this. And
They
with
can
King
make
10,
moves on flops like this, but I think once they flat call a flop like this, their hand is almost exclusively a drawing hand, or some kind of a like Jack 10 or Queen 10, or maybe even 10-9. So once the 7 hits, I mean, we just
yeah, I agree.
that's
It's a
like a
brilliant card.
textbook reverse blocker bet. All right. Anyhow, let me let's
We want
let's
to go
look
to
at
some
some
of
of
their hands.
Andrew's stuff, and let me pause recording, and I'll come back in a minute.
Okay.
We're here with Andrew, and we're looking at his initial graph, and it's very similar to Reese's, except for it's it's a little bit more consistent. So, well, for one, you've played more hand than Reese has, and two, I remember Reese had this kind of a downswing, which kind of bottomed out and then started going up again, and you've been going up a little bit more consistently, but your red line, your one money without showdown, is still going down.
It's upsetting me.
I don't think it really should upset you just yet. Because let's go to general. Let's go to your general tab. I mean, you're up 14 binds, and you're running at about 12.5 BB per 100. So I think if your choices are to be winning at this click versus having a red line which is going down, this is certainly good. Now, like I said, a lot of what we're going to discuss with our post-flop play is going to deal with this very red line. But for now, your stats are very similar to Reese's, and I guess a part of that, which you guys already mentioned, is you're doing sweat sessions together and you're discussing hands and situations like that. So it's not unusual that these stats are going to be similar. Your continuation bet flop is right around 65%. Do you feel like you're c-betting less than you were before we started, or do you feel it's about the same?
Oh, much less. I mean, well, it depends. It depends. Essentially, it depends. Like I've stopped c-betting the flop as much as I used to, and I think it really has helped me. It really has helped my game. Just that's probably the biggest factor of my improvement has been delay c-betting and reading the board textures and knowing which guys will always call and float whether I'm in or out of position, and not c-betting every time, even in 3-bet pots.
Right.
If I know a guy's going to call, it's just burning money. If I value bet, don't get me wrong, and I value bet thin, but against some people, I'm not going to keep firing if they're never folding pocket deuces on any board. So
Right. I was thinking about um, I was thinking about what to tell you guys about playing ace rag preflop, and I think uh, obviously in any position up until the cutoff, up until the button, in fact, I would not recommend playing ace rag, where like something like ace three offsuit, I'm probably dumping it in the cutoff, and I mean I'm definitely dumping it in the cutoff. But the big question became playing that hand on the button. So for example, if you have ace six offsuit, like yeah, you should probably be raising it on the button, but where a lot of people where a lot of people have leaks is that they're looking to play this hand for value, and I don't think it has that much value, and it definitely doesn't have three streets of value, unless you flop like trips, like trip sixes. But I think a hand like that, if you hit an ace with a hand like ace rag, that's just such a good flop. That's just such a good hand to delay c-bet, because I don't think that hand has a lot of value when you continuation bet the flop. So yeah, like delay c-betting, even if you actually have something like top pair, sometimes might still be plus EV if it'll get you to control the pot and have people like bluff into you on the turn. So like even with like top pair hands, delay c-betting can have a lot of value. So it's not necessarily like weakness. Sometimes it's just the optimal way to play a hand.
I think it sounds like it'd be a really good idea versus, let's say, an over aggro player who will check
Totally.
raise a lot,
Yeah,
and
totally.
therefore you want to control the size of the pot, and you only want to be you're only ever really realistically going to get two streets of value. So if you let him do the betting on the turn and the river,
Right.
then your hand is so underrepresented that you can call and expect to be good much more often than if you bet the flop and he calls and then the pot starts getting bigger.
Or if he check raises the flop, you have top pair.
It's such an ugly spot.
Yeah, it's just such an ugly spot. All right, let's look at you positionally. Okay, here we go. So, c-bet flop, c-bet turn. Yeah, I mean these are really. I mean these are. It looks like you're double barreling a lot when you raise under the gun, and that's kind of expected because you should have strong hands. So you should be betting again on the turn when you're called, and you should be playing aggressively. And you're actually a winner out of the big blind right now, which is, I should say, enjoy this for now because it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, it's very.
Now, on the other hand, you seem to be three betting quite a bit from the from middle position. Maybe that's just variance. I'm assuming that's just variance, but this kind of strikes me as you're 9% three betting from middle position. Do you think are you just catching hands there? Like what's the reason for that, you think?
Well, I mean, I think undoubtedly I'm catching hands or just running well from that spot, because it makes no sense that in particular I'd be isolating under the gun raises,
Right.
when I'm not doing the same from the button and the cutoff. So I think, without a doubt, it's just because I've been catching codes.
Right. All right. Let's look at some of the hands that you've had. Everything else looks good though. I mean, I certainly can't. If I was looking at this, I would say continue doing what you're doing. But because we're doing this series, I'm going to say continue doing what you're doing, plus think about these things we're about to talk about.
Plus do it better.
Yeah, plus refine it. All All right, so let's look at your amount one. Let's click on that and let's look at what your big winners are. Wow, kings.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. And I mean, your kings are like crushing your aces. I wonder what's going on with aces. Can you click on that?
Oh, I tell you what.
You've never lost with kings. Wow, that's pretty crazy. That's kind of nice, right?
Yeah, you want to see amount one? Okay, here we go.
All right, let's
First one is interesting hand actually.
yeah, let's look at the first one.
Okay. Okay, so undergun raises, overcall in middle position, and it gets to me in the small blind, so I 3-bet.
Yeah.
2 calls.
Right.
I bet equals great card.
That's a very good card.
I shove
Yeah.
equals, and he's got Jack 3.
Wow.
And obviously hits his flush. So.
Yeah. I really like the way you played it.
Yeah,
I
there's
like
not
the
really
turn
much to
shove
be
there.
said there.
I love the turn shove there.
It was a pot-sized bet. I mean, it was a full
Yeah.
pot-sized bet, but it was definitely a pot-sized bet. So
The reason I
so
like
many
it is
draws.
because he will never fold anything there to you.
He won't
Especially
fold
Jack
Jacks
suited.
plus.
What?
Yeah, Jacks plus.
Right. And yeah, the seven's a good card.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the next aces. All right.
So I'm sorry, I raise on the button. He 3-bets pretty small from the small blind.
Right.
So I 4-bet. So I 4-bet small because I'm not folding any flop. So
Sure.
I want
Do
to
you
be able
know
to do
anything
that.
about this player? Sometimes calling there is optimal, but for betting.
No, this guy was tight. This guy was tight.
Oh, I
So
like it a
that's
lot
why
then. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy. I think he's got something big. So we get it in, and
Okay. He's got queens and he
he,
has. All right.
he flops a set.
Yeah, there's not much. All right, so that's 2 hands.
Here's the last one. Cut off raise, and I 3-bet from the small blind. He flats.
Right. Good flop.
Yeah. I think I bet too small here. I think I was just getting greedy.
No, I think it's fine. Because it could induce a lot of things.
Well, yeah, that's what I was hoping, because the guy's pretty aggressive. But
yeah.
Anyway, so he flats.
Good turn.
Card. I bet again. He flats again, and then I've got so little money left. I shove.
Right.
And he.
Yeah, you should shove there.
He shoves 5-6 suited. So.
Interesting. Think you played it well?
Yeah. I was pretty furious, to be honest, that he called. But I kept my cool.
Hey, I mean, just kind of a player, right?
Shut down. Yeah. Yeah, true.
I think you played all 3 of those well.
Should we look at my losers?
Yeah, let's look at your losers. Ah, okay. Interesting. Oh, never mind. Yeah, let's
No, never mind.
Yeah, yeah, let's look at it. Is it just set over set?
It was a goofy spot. I actually remember this. I flopped a set. I bet the guy called, and the guy turned
A higher.
Turned a better set with like an underpair. It was just stupid. Anyway.
Right.
Maybe king queen off seems like a big loser for me. So let's check this out.
Oh, we've already talked about this one.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly can't blame you for any of these hands. I mean, basically, you end up rivering a full house, and the guy, yeah, the flop is queen, queen, ace, 8-8. That will come the turn on the river, and we have kings.
Yeah, yeah.
And the guy had pocket aces, and he flat called pre-flop, and then he just like played it. Yeah, it was just goofy.
He over limped in the cutoff. I ISO raised on the button,
Right.
3-way, and the flop came queen, queen, ace.
And he had
No,
pocket aces.
yeah,
I
queen,
looked
queen,
at his
ace, and
9-7 hand.
9-7.
Oh, okay, you turned the nuts, and I'm guessing a guy rivers flush. But let's look at
Yeah.
how you played it.
Oh, can't we see one where Andrew played something bad? It made me laugh.
Andrew's my favorite. He's the best.
He's getting you more money than here.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me look at your cards.
Sorry, yeah, sure.
Okay.
I overcalled. I limped along. It's 4-way,
Yeah.
and I've got.
I think it's fine. I mean, you're just getting such good odds
I'm only going nuts if I
if you flop the
big,
nuts,
so-
right?
Yeah. So I lead out with my draw.
Yeah, I like it.
Turn the nuts.
Right.
Bet again. Bet 2. Get min raised, and I think this is a fold, but I couldn't make myself fold.
I don't
So I
think it's.
called.
I don't think it's a fold.
Okay. Well, he showed up with 2-4, so.
Wow. So he had nothing on the flop. Like he had.
Yeah.
He literally had nothing on the flop.
Yeah, I
That's
think that's
crazy.
something.
Like he
That's
had.
something. He had undercards and a backdoor straight, backdoor flush draw.
I guess he had a straight on the river too. But that's just
Yeah.
that is an insane flop call. I don't think it's a fold on the river. I think you fold on the river there, and that's just bad because he could have like 6-3. There's just so many 2-pair combinations he could have there.
Mm.
And he could have a straight like 2-4. So the only thing you're
I feel
worried
like-
about is flush. So
I don't think I was serious. I don't think I'd ever fold there. Sorry.
all
But
right, good.
I do often see like min raises on the river just being the nuts on,
Right.
or just
The
all
thing
the
is, like,
time.
yeah, right,
Especially when it comes 3 to a flush. Do you know what I mean? Even run a flush.
Right.
Like I knew he had the flush basically.
right.
Anyway,
Alright. Should we look at something else?
Yeah, maybe this.
I mean, it
ace eight
seems like
hand.
a bunch of the things you're running into variants or
Yeah.
sectato, and like I actually wonder what your equity graph would be like.
Better than mine.
All right,
So
so you call
I've,
with ace 8.
I've completed with ace 8,
Okay.
4-way. I lead out, get called.
Honestly, like on a lot of these spots, I probably would check call
Okay.
because of kicker issues. And
Yeah,
because,
I wanted to bet because of the flush draw though, and straight draw.
right, but the problem is like when and this is something I've been thinking about recently too. I think 3-way I would, 4-way, like, cause like what do you do again here? Like I guess you lead again, but you could end up getting value owned.
Yeah, that's true. But the pot's never that big. I mean, that's what I bear in mind the whole time. I'm never gonna play a massive pot here with ace 8.
Sure. All right, let's see what you do on the turn.
So I lead out again,
All right,
calls, and then
check.
you get 2, and I think this guy was really over aggressive,
Right.
and I made a dumb call. I think it's I think it's a really bad call, but he just had river aggression of like 75,
Right.
70% for bet frequency. So, and he had it, he rivered this straight. So,
Right.
nice hand. Okay, there's another hand.
The thing about situations like that is like once you bet those 2 streets and the and like the flush draw misses and another straight draw misses, like you almost have to call but sometimes the problem with our hand there is like sometimes we'll see like ace 10. There's just so
Yeah.
many other aces that like even though all the draws miss, you know the aces might get us there. But
I have a hard time versus the really lag players because I love that the flush draw missed there, and that's what I
right.
put him on most of the time.
And I
And
guess like that's kind of the problem with completing there with the ace 8. You know, you are going to be out of position for. You're always just going to be out of position with a marginal hand. So that's why I kind of like checking the flop is just to get that extra street of pot control.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Thing is, it makes me feel so warm inside when I snap off the lags with a
right,
bluff.
right. I actually had a discussion with another player, and we talked about this idea of, you know, you feel a sense of pride when you catch a bluff, and this leads to you trying to like catch more and more bluffs and trying to kind of chase that feeling, and that's like deceivingly bad. But anyhow, we can talk about that later.
Okay.
Let's see what happens here.
Raised on the button, opened with 9-6 suited.
Yeah,
I flopped a gut shot over cards and a flush draw.
right.
He lit out.
I would
I
call him.
wasn't sure whether I should raise here.
No, you should call. I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Board pairs. He leads for a massive amount of money. I didn't know what to think.
I think I don't think he's ever
And-
leading with a nut flush here, like that amount. You know what I mean?
But the
I
board's
think you're
just
always
paired.
Yeah, I raise him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think basically this is another really lag player, and he's overbet the pot, right? And
Right.
so if I put him on a bluff, then what's
Actually,
the
I
value?
shove here.
You shove.
Yeah.
I can't really raise. I mean, given his bet sizing and the pot size, like a pot size raised by me would be a shove. But
That's why I
I
shove.
I put him on a bluff so often here just because he looks pissed off.
The thing about it is,
Bluffing
I
with
think
that.
any kind of bluff, I don't think he's ever straight bluffing. I think he's semi-bluffing.
Semi-bluffing, yeah.
I think he has
Semi-bluffing
the
to a flush.
ace of hearts and something.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's solely what I'd put him on there.
Okay. So you think a shove? Well, I put him on a bluff just because he looked angry. And so I just decided if he's going to overbet the pot, then I'm just going to flat and let him bluff the rest off on the river.
Yeah. All right, let's see what happens. I guess another heart comes, or like a 4. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he bet small, and I just mucked.
I might call here, because his line just makes very little sense. Even though it's double paired, but I like a turn shove.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, if
I
you
just don't
include
think he has
semi-bluffs
anything on the river. I don't think he has anything on the river. I would call him on the river.
Okay. Well, I didn't end up, so we'll never know.
Right.
But
Yeah,
I like the idea of including semi bluffs in his range when he overbets the pot like that. So yeah, I think I just had a misread. I misread it.
Right.
The more I'm playing against these guys, the more I put them on semi-bluffs there. I mean, I don't see them ever just really overbetting the pot there with something strong. These guys, you know, they feed on the fact that they can push you off pots when they've got a weak, like semi-bluffing hands. They don't.
That's kind of my.
You know,
And I guess that's what Andrew was saying is like that's the reason he did call, but
Yeah.
I think my read there is like I think he's going to be often. He might be strong enough to do that, but if you read him as that, then I think you have to call the river, because even though it's double paired, it doesn't really change much because, and you're just getting such good odds. Like he might just lead again with just a straight bluff. So I definitely think it's it's good to continue showing weakness if somebody's just like going crazy like that. But on that kind of a board with your kind of a hand, I do think there's more value in raising because I think he will go with a lot of hands there. But if you do flat call, yeah, I would have definitely called the river.
Yeah.
Because we can't really put him on a 4. I mean, it's in his range, but
what about something like a min raise there? Like a min raise could induce a shove off him.
On the turn?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can certainly do that. But I think a min raise is just really strong too. It just seems strong.
Like I think partially what I mean, you know, half the reason you might just shove there on the turn is because it looks weaker than a min raise.
Right.
Like
yeah,
it looks like it could be a semi bluff on my part as well.
I'm not really sure what I'm doing, and so I'm gonna shove.
And also, I've seen you overbet, so I read you as weakness. So I'm gonna shove with my ace high because you look weak.
Well, do you want to look at any other hands?
I can't really find any. It's annoying. I don't understand PT3, but you know, in PT2 you could go to like game. Was it?
You were thinking about some 4-bet pots, right?
Yeah.
Your ace kings.
Let's see if we can do that. Yeah, kings where he's never lost with them. Let's go to filters up here.
Mhm.
I think there's a 4-bet setting that we can look at, and then go to maybe actions. And 4-bet. Just maybe click on all 4 of those 4-bet.
Okay.
All right, and
apply.
Apply.
Okay.
And that should just give you a list of hands which ended up being 4-bet, and then you might be able to search through those better.
Hold on, nothing's really come up. Okay, here we go.
Wow, you were involved in 187 total hands, which were 4-bet. So do you want to just look at your losers 4-bet?
Yeah, of course. I don't. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I am here in middle position.
Okay.
I raise TNA Tina, who I think was playing a bit nuts.
Yeah, and they're a short stack. Well, not really a short stack. They didn't have a full stack, let me say that.
And I feel like I've got fold equity here.
Right.
Versus a lot of their 3-betting range. So I 3-bet and they flat.
Right.
And that just annoys the hell out of me.
Yep.
that's kind of a big, see, your bet sizing there, and that's something we'll talk about later, is it's kind of one of those limbo bet sizes where the pot is going to be big on the flop and you're not going to have that many options. So I would almost say, like, can you go back one?
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
So they make it 120. I think something like, 260 would be okay. And sometimes I actually don't mind a shove because I think accomplish. They take you out of that limbo state. Like 260.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking because I was in a similar situation with jacks on the button, and I got 3-bet from the big blind, and then I wanted to 3-bet get it in, but when I 3-bet, he flatted.
Yeah.
And then I was a bit stuck when the board came queen high, and I was thinking, if I shove, that's fine, but then I don't always shove 4-bet, with aces or kings. So does that make it really exploitable? I mean, is shoving good? Or is 3-betting smaller good? Because I don't really want to see a flop with jacks, but I think my equity is good versus his range pre-flop. But once we see a flop, so often there's going to be overcards, and it's going to be a nightmare to play.
So I think the thing there, and we'll talk about this too in more detail later, is that I don't think you have to think about whether things are exploitable against players like TNA Tina, because you probably won't play against her a lot. I think if it's against a regular that you know is like a thinking regular, then you can start worrying about these things a little bit more. And then
I mean,
you do
I know
things
it's.
like, go ahead.
Sorry. I don't want to interrupt. I just meant, I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous because obviously it's 10 and L,
Right.
and it's not a major consideration things like metagame and whatnot. But the idea is, well, especially for me, I like the idea of getting into good habits,
Right.
uh, and
But
so
get into good habits against regulars. So
right.
don't treat the majority of players. I would say play a exploitable but optimal style against the non-regulars, and then start
Right.
getting into good habits against regulars by trying to play a more unexploitable style. Does that make sense?
I quite like that phrase, exploitable yet optimal style.
Right.
That's interesting. You should copyright that.
I actually think that DJ Sensei from 2+2 actually used that. Wait, was it DJ Sensei or Wilt on Tilt? They were just talking about how at these lower limits, like, people just won't have. I mean, if you're playing against a good thinking player, then they're going to be able to pick up on these things. You doing things which are exploitable, but these players will not pick up on things that you're doing that are exploitable. So yeah, so you should just do things which are optimal against them. So like, yeah. So here I think I would just shove, honestly.
Okay. So you think 4-bet shoving with ace king and jacks, let's say button versus big blind is definitely better because it'll get you in less sticky situations post flop.
Uh, yeah, I think. I mean, in some situations, certainly.
Mm. Okay.
It just we really need to have a whole other discussion about 4-bet pots, and I don't want to do it here. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Now it's just not the time to have this. But let's see what happened in the hand.
Sure.
Something funny's going on in the background.
Yeah, it sounds like chickens. Yeah. And yeah, I don't mind shoving it on this flop. Yeah, certainly, given the stack sizes, for sure. So you do it. He calls. And that's fine. That seems okay. And the result would have
Okay.
been the same, but
Mm.
yeah, I would just shove it.
Okay. Here's the hand I was talking about. I think raise on the button, get 3-bet, decide to 4-bet, get flatted.
Yeah.
Don't really know what the hell's going on here, but Citizen C is pretty aggro. It's pretty aggro, and I got a wave of inspiration. And I think I just
Right.
I really misplayed the hand, so I donk bet to induce the raise, and then
Oh, that's funny.
once I've got the raise, this is what I wanted, and I feel like he's committed now, so I shove,
Right.
and he shows me quad queens.
There you go.
Nice.
You got what you wanted. You got him to
Good
raise.
game.
Um,
Yeah, good game.
I don't mind you kind of, I actually don't mind your line post flop. Just kind of given how, because I like the fact that you're thinking about these things. That's what I like. Betting small in order to induce a raise out of worse and out of bluffs, et cetera, et cetera. So,
And out of quads.
but
I don't think it's a good idea with having it an underpair to the board, to be honest. I picked a bad spot, but I was just so sure that this guy had just such terrible hands more often than not.
no,
I mean, I'll
I really
definitely
don't
do it
think.
again.
I don't think it's that bad. I really don't think it's that bad post. I don't think your thinking is that bad post flop. But
I think I should think more seriously about what he might be called flatting a 4-bet with,
sure,
you know?
but so much of that depends on the player. Like, you'd have to give me his statistics. I mean, just because they're aggressive. Yeah, I mean, most of the time when they flat call a 4-bet, I mean, I think when you sent me the hand, I said, I would check this behind like 100% of the time.
Right.
Yeah, but uh,
Okay.
I, I still like the fact that you're thinking about lines which kind of could induce bluffs. But
Right.
this might not be the board to do it on.
No. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
For the situation.
Yeah, so it seems like we talked a little bit about 4-betting here, but we should definitely talk a lot more about it later on.
Right.
So let's. Do you guys have any other just general questions? It seems like you're doing a lot of good things, and you just got to continue doing what you're doing. Um,
Mm.
we I will focus on pre-flop play from the first 4 positions next time we talk, so we'll be able to explore some of these things a little bit more.
Okay.
Uh,
Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Other than that, do you have any other questions or comments?
I just
Not
think
really, no.
the one thing I just wanted to say, I think the one thing that has really helped my game straightforwardly is just c-betting or
Right.
learning or delay
Yeah.
c-betting, just learning when to c-bet and when not to c-bet. It's just been enormous. It's just been massive. You stay in control of so many more hands, and knock-on effects are that when you don't get taken for your whole stack time and time again, is you remain in control, throughout the rest of your session and avoid tilt, and it just leads to so many more positive things, I think.
Yeah,
I think
that's
as
that's
well.
that's good.
Yeah.
And that's a big. I think that was like the number 2 leak that we went over in I think it was the first episode. Yeah. Um, I guess you guys remember the ace-7 hand that I raised on in the cutoff and got 2 callers on an ace-high flop and chose not to c-bet it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you turn 2 pair.
Yeah, I turned 2 pair, and yeah, and that was that's just kind of an extension of that. Is you know we're raising with some of these hands in order to take down the pot, uh, but then we're just navigating post flop. But yeah, let's I'm glad you guys are both doing well. Keep it up, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Cool.
Bye.
Cool. Take it easy.
See you, Paul.